Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is a brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration Camp here in Trinidad with another edification to the power and spirit of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Alright, so first and foremost, Kal Halayim La Allahayanawa Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai Ba'ashem Makakodash Barakata Yahweh Barakata Yahushai Barakata Yahweh Barakata Yahushai Barakata Yahweh Barakata Yahushai. Alright, so double honors unto the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone that rule well. Double salutation unto the brothers who preaching and teaching the truth. Show the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites, and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwat, which is the sisters that listening and learning. Alright, if the background maybe fine, if you find the background, you know, maybe sounding a little bit distorted, is that there's a little rainfall. Yeah, there's a little rainfall, not much to talk about under a umbrella kind of business here. You know, them benches, you know, them sitting area with the benches and the umbrella. So, you know, you will be hearing that tap tap song from the rain falling on the umbrella. But anyhow, nevertheless, alright. The title of this lesson is this lesson here is the spirit of conquest. All right, proves that they are the descendants of the Greco-Roman Empire. All right, and this is this here, you know, I'm speaking about is concerning Esau Edom, the so-called white man. All right. And this lesson, you know, is going to go into, because the Lord showed me something, you know. Although you know, we had already knew it, but you know, He showed me it on a simple, it real simple, but on a deeper sense, you know, showing you that the Edomites. Showing you that the so-called white man, you know, the 3 out of the 7, to be more precise, the 3 out of the 7, all right? Let's go to that quick. I thought that scripture I was going to start with, but you know what? Let's go to this here first, so you will get that understanding. Because I'm going with us through the Spirit, and I pray that, you know, the Lord guide me through, and I pray that, you know, you will be edified by it. Alright? Sincerely, I pray that you will be edified by it. So, I will start with Revelation, not 13. Revelation 13 and 1. Okay? Revelation 13 and 1. And it reads, "And I stood upon the sand of the sea." Alright? The sand of the sea represents the people. Okay? And I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Alright? That beast represents the system, all right, that beast represent the European Union and NATO, all right. And I saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, all right, 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy, all right. Now, that 7 heads, it represents the 7 Edomite empires, alright? 7 Edomite empires that had ruled upon the face of the earth. And that 10 horns, it represents the European Union, alright? Back then it was called, I think, the European Common Market, alright? That was just after World War II, where they had set up that system, that European Common Market, which is now known as the European Union. Alright? But as it says here, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, which is the Russians. Alright? And his mouth as the mouth of a lion, which is the British. Alright? And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Alright? Now, why Why the Russians is in that mix there pursuant to verse 2. Alright. So okay, let me read over verse 2 again because I missed out something. Alright, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, which was the Grecians. Alright, because the Grecians were the first so-called of the so-called white man to rule, headed by Alexander the Great. Alright, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, which is the Russians. Because the Russians, alright, is going to be the ones to take down this whole beast system. Alright, this whole new and revised Greco-Roman Empire. Okay, that is headed by Babylon the Great, which is America. Okay, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion, which is the British, and the dragon, alright, which was the ancient Roman Empire, alright, gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Okay, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast, alright, which is the European, the EU and NATO, alright, and they worship the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worship the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast, who is able to make war over him? Now, these 7 heads, when you go to Revelation 17, let me see something there. Bear with me. No, not 14. Not 14, not from 14, so. Alright, good. Alright, so let me come to, because when you come up to Revelation 17, verse 1 to 5, it's speaking of the same. Let me read it for edification's sake. Revelation 17 and 1, it reads, and there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. That sitteth upon many waters. Alright? How did they sit upon many waters? By their conquest, by their conquering. Alright? By their conquering, by gathering the whole earth under their feet, having the whole earth in their fists. Alright? That's how they are able to sit on many waters. Through the military bases, through the embassies and all these things and whatnot, so forth. But most importantly, most of all, by the way of the sword, by conquering. Okay? By conquering. Because what I'm trying to show is the parallels, alright, between ancient ancient Greece, ancient Rome, which ended up becoming the Greco-Roman Empire, because the Grecians was absorbed into the Roman Empire, alright, so which was known as the Greco-Roman Empire, alright, and then you have in here now, okay, then you have in here now these Edomites, alright, these Edomites that you have here now, with the Portugal, Spain, the French, the British, the 3 out of the 7, alright, which was of the same nature, alright, same nature, going about and conquering and whatnot, so forth, alright, till you have now, which is America, alright. So as it says here, verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made to drink the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit in the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Alright, 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of all harlots and abominations of the earth, which is America. Alright? But when I jump down to verse 8, alright? When I jump down to verse 8, where it reads, the beast that thou sawest was and is not. Alright? The beast that thou sawest was and is not, which was the ancient Roman Empire. It was and is not, because the ancient Roman Empire, the ancient Roman Empire, right, the Greco-Roman Empire, alright, it had fell. All right? It had fell. That's why when you go back to Revelation 13, where it speaks about, and he had a deadly wound. All right? He had suffered a deadly wound. And verse 11, it spoke about his deadly wound was healed. All right? His deadly wound was healed. And when it was healed, okay, when it was healed, that spoke about that is speaking about the Renaissance period. All right? That's what it's speaking about there, the Renaissance period. Starting with the Borgia family, right, the Italians and what have you, so forth. But the height of the Renaissance period was actually when you had the Portugal, Spain empire, you know, their monarchy. All right, then you had the French, then you had the British. All right, and you had the mix of you have the mix of the Danes, the Germans, all right, the Dutch and whatnot, so forth, who had their quest of conquest and whatnot, so forth. But it was not as the height of they are all Edomites. They are all Edomites, but it was not as the height of these three. All right, out of the seven, because the full seven is Greece, Rome, Germania Major, Germania Minor. All right, there is what it is. And then you had the last three, which is Portugal, Spain, the French, and then the British. Okay, so as it says here, verse 8, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit. All right, shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, which is Europe. All right, speaking about the Caucasus Mountains of Georgia, Russia. All right, and go into perdition. All right, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was, and is not, that was, and is not, and yet is. How they are yet is? All right, through America. All right, through America. The yet is, because America is Rome reincarnated. All right, America is Rome reincarnated. Okay, so verse 9 where it says, and here is the mind which had wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains. Christianity will think that is the 7 mountains, where over in Italy, I think in Rome or something like that. So something them Seventh-day Adventists them this teach. All right, no, that is not speaking about that. Those 7 hills in Italy, no. Those 7 mountains are speaking about 7 empires, 7 governmental structures. All right, 7 major governments. Edomites, all right, Edomites, that is ruling the earth right now. That was that, you understand? So it says here, and the 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings, all right, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space, which is speaking about the British. All right? Which is speaking about the British. They must continue, because the British Empire, they didn't rule for a very long time. All right? And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th. All right? Even he is the 8th and is of the 7. All right? He is the 8th and is of the 7, which is America. That 8 is America, because America, they came out of Britain, all right, and go it into perdition. Okay, so when I say they go it into perdition, it speaks about what? It goes in. They go into destruction. All right, they go into speaking about their conquest, their colonization. Let me be more frank here. All right, it's speaking about their world colonization, going through the earth, conquering whatnot, so forth, and colonizing. All right, colonizing. And this trade, because as I had posed this question to the Akim in prophetic vibration, you know, what is that? There's a trait, you know, a particular trait that these Edomites have, the so-called white man have, that proves that they are the descendants of the Greco-Romans, all right, the Grecians and the Romans and what have you, so forth. You know, and that trait was conquering and colonization. All right, back then it was called what? Hellenization. All right, but now is colonization. All right, there is where it is. All right, so there is what it is here, because what we're dealing with Esau, Edom, and the colonization. Because you have to understand this. When you go to Job 9, let's take a look at that simple scripture. All right, Job 9, that speaks volumes. Job 9 and 24, where it reads, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof." All right, if not, where and who is he? All right. Now, this is the question you have to ask yourself. Who is in control of the earth right now? Who is ruling the earth right now? All right? Who is ruling the earth right now? Okay? That's the question you have to ask yourself. And the thing is, another question you have to ask yourself, how did they get control of the earth? Yeah? How did they get control of the earth? These are the things you have to ask yourself and be truthful with it. Okay? Because when I go to Genesis, which was the first scripture that I wanted was to come out with, is Genesis, wait a boy, 36, I believe. No, 36 is Esau's lineage. I think it's 26. And 32. No. Bear with me. It's actually Genesis 27. All right. So I'll go straight to the point for time's sake, because I had to go and add a report for duty just now on the plantation here. So I'll go straight to the point here. Genesis 27, Salakia, and 20 and 38, where it reads, "And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou one blessing, O my father?" All right, this is speaking about the blessings that was given unto Jacob and unto Esau. All right, so we're going straight to the point pursuant to Esau's blessing. All right, so he says, "Bless me, even me, O my father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, "Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth." All right, which goes into the choice lands, the good lands and what have you, so forth, and all the earth resources and all these things. All right, and of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live. This is the point here. This is how they was able to live out, to accomplish their blessing. All right, this is how they was able to achieve world dominance. All right, and colonize the world, colonize the earth. Every way that they go, they colonize. All right, so it says, "And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck." All right, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, "The days of mourning of my father are at hand, then I will slay my brother Jacob." All right, so this is how they was able to conquer the earth. Okay, this is how they was able to conquer the earth, through their blessing by the sword. All right, and they went through the four corners of the earth on their conquering mission. Okay, and was able to achieve. They was able to come out with great success. Okay, and colonize, and be able to colonize the earth. There is what it is here. Okay, when you take a look, when you look at the parallels, all right, a simple scripture. Watch this, a simple scripture, which is Luke 2 and 1. Simple scripture to explain. Luke 2:1. All right. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus. All right. Caesar Augustus, that all the world should be taxed. All right. Now, when you go to that word world in the Greek is oikoumene. Now, oikoumene goes into the whole earth, whole inhabited earth. All right. But in this sense, it was speaking about, all right, the known world at that time and their provinces in which they had managed to conquer and gain control. All right. Now, this is the thing here. Pursuant to verse 1. How was they able to tax the world? How was they able, the Romans was able to attack the known world, to tax Salakia, to tax, all right, to bring taxes on the known world at that time, that the people have to pay the taxes and what have you, so forth. How was that able to be accomplished? All right. Is it quite obvious? They conquered these nations. All right. They conquered these nations, which end up being absorbed into the Roman Empire and became Roman territory. All right, and they fall under subjection under the Romans. When you go to not Esdras, no? First Maccabees 1:1. All right. Now this was the first man, the first so-called white man, Alexander the Great, the first Edomite, all right, to go about on his colonization conquest. All right, and we would read of the account here. This is Maccabees 1:1, and first Maccabees 1:1, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim. Chittim is what you know today as modern day Cyprus, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and the Medes, all right, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece, which was what? The first so-called white man. He was the first so-called white man to reign. All right? This is what it is. Now, you would get the account, you would get the prophecy, Salakia. This is the account, but the prophecy of this man and his conquest, all right, you would read that in Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8 is actually speaking of the prophecy of Alexander. All right, and then it talk about the four notable horns. All right, and then it had a next horn out of the four. That's roughly paraphrasing. All right, which actually was Antiochus Epiphanes. All right. But Daniel chapter 8, it is speaking about Alexander and his conquest. All right? And this is the account here. Okay? So it says here, and made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. All right? Slew the kings of the earth. Then the Spanish, the French, and the British follow the same pattern. Let's be real. Then the Spanish, Portugal, Spain, France, and the British follow that same pattern. And then you had the 8 out of the 7, which was America. And didn't America also too not follow? And didn't they not follow in that same pattern? All right. And went through the ends of the earth. Right? Went through the ends of the earth. What they were going through the end of the earth to do what? To party? No, to conquer. All right? Conquer and colonize. All right? And took spoils of many nations. Come on. All right? Insomuch that the earth was quiet before him. Right? Because why? They brought the known world at that time under their subjection. All right? Whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up, and he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled other countries, right? And ruled over countries, Salakia, and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him, All right, the hard was to pay the what? The taxes. Okay. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die, wherefore he called the servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. All right. This is the point here we getting at here. And the same pattern, when you go to Daniel chapter 7, all right, yeah, I will start from 1. Daniel chapter 7 and 1. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea, and 4 great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. All right, which speaking about these 4 major empires, they were diverse, they were different from each other. All right, the first was like a lion and had eagle wings. All right, which was the Assyrians. All right, their symbol was the lion with the wings, and I beheld till the wings were therefore plucked off. All right, which became the Neo-Babylonian Empire. All right, there's another history by itself that I don't have the time to go into right now. All right, and it was lifted up from the earth and made stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given unto it. All right, so this was Nebuchadnezzar. All right, well, his father was the one to go to war against the Assyrians, and he had won. All right, and you know, his son ended up taking over, which was Nebuchadnezzar. I think it was Nebuchadnezzar was the father. Nebuchadnezzar or something like that. So was the father. All right, but Nebuchadnezzar was his son. And behold, another beast second like to a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in the mouth of it. All right, which is the not the Grecians, what nonsense I'm speaking, which was the Medo-Persians. All right, the Medo-Persians, those 3 ribs that is speaking about, they're speaking about Egypt, Lycidia, and Babylon. All right. All right, and they said unto it, Arise and devour much flesh. Verse 6, after this I behold, and lo, another like a leopard, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. All right, this is speaking about who? Alexander. This is when these Edomites started coming to power and go into conquest. All right, and the beast had also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. Verse 7, after this I saw and in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast. All right, a 4th beast, which is who? This is speaking about the Romans. Dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces. Now, when the Romans came in, that was the Iron Age. They were the ones to start, forge weapons and this and that and whatnot, so forth, with iron. Okay. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. What make them diverse? What make them different? All right, the Roman Empire, they was not ruled by a monarchical regime. They didn't have monarchs, all right, as kings and whatnot, are descendants of kings and what have you, so forth, a dynasty. No, they had a Senate house and whatnot, so forth. They were the ones to really introduce the Senate houses and whatnot, so forth. All right, which goes into the plebeians and the patricians and what have you, so forth. All right, and they would choose who would be the Caesars, who would be the rulers and what have you, so forth. All right, they would vote. There's where you get your democracy and whatnot, so forth. There's the first instance of democracy where today. Okay, and all right, it says here, and all the beasts that and it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns, which was the 10 vassal states. But now, this is the new and revised Roman Empire, All right, and those 10 horns represent what? The European Union. All right, verse 8, and I considered the horns, and behold, there came one up among them, another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. That little horn is speaking about is America, and those 3 little horns that was plucked up by the roots was who? Was Portugal, Spain, alright, Portugal, Spain, the French, and the British. Alright? There is what it is here. Alright? But you see the thing that the point that I am drawing here. As a matter of fact, let me finish read it out. And behold, and these horns were like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things, which is America speaking their blasphemy. The eyes like a man goes into the wisdom of these Edomites, the wisdom, the wicked wisdom that they carry, all right, that they influence upon the earth. Okay, but the point where I'm drawing at here, okay, is this. All right, verse 7, where it speaks about it devoured and break in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. What that is speaking about their conquest. All right, go and do your research. Go and do your research on the Grecians, all right, on how Alexander was able to accomplish, his feat of his empire. All right, he was on I think was like a 10-year conquest. All right, the Romans, I don't know how long, but the Romans, the empire was vast. They had a very vast empire. All right, they were going about and conquering and whatnot, so forth, and colonizing, Hellenizing the people that they conquered. And it's the same thing here today. It's the same thing that was taken. It's the same spirit. All right, it's the same spirit. That's why the scripture says. Let me see if I can get that, Baba Kusha. Let me see if I can get that, which is all right. Of the PRO. All right. 1 Corinthians 14:32. Let's go to that. 1 Corinthians 14:32. Where the hell are you going? You're gone too far. 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 32, where it reads, all right. 1 Corinthians 14:32, and it says, and the spirits of the prophets are subjected to the prophets. And it's the same thing with Esau, with the heathen, especially Esau, Edom. All right, the spirits of the heathen is subjected unto the heathen. So the same spirit that was in the Greco-Roman Empire is the same spirit. Is the same spirit that still carried out, all right, within these Edomites when they came back into power. This is Malachi 1 and 1. Malachi 1 and 1 and Malachi 1 and 1. All right, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. It reads, I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord, yet I love Jacob. Rebuke that in the name of Yahweh. Yet I love Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains, all right, which is his governmental structure, and his heritage, which is their philosophies and all of that, all the wickedness that they stands for, all right, for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished. We are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. All right? And build the desolate places. All right? Now let me go up a bit here. This particular scripture here, all right? This is speaking about they coming back all right, pursuant to Revelation 13 and not 11, I think it's 12, Revelation 13 and 12, where it speaks about their deadly wound was healed. All right, either 12 or 13, but I believe it's 12. All right, where the deadly wound was healed. And also to match with that is Revelation 20 and 1, verse 1 to I think it's verse 1 to 3, and then you jump down to verse 7 and verse 8. All right, I could have go to it, but I don't really have much time. I really don't have much time. All right, so this is speaking about them coming back into prominence via the Renaissance period. Now, this here, all right, what you have to understand is this. The reason why they went on such a conquest from the Spanish to the French to the British to the Americans, all right, Babylon the Great. Reason being, all right, is that their main intentions for going into world dominance and world conquest and colonization, it is because they want to rebuild that Tower of Babel all over again. And let me tell you something. You see this verse 4 here? This is the foundation. This here was their foundation, where it says, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. All right, which they did. They did through the Renaissance period. But this was their foundation of what we see in here today now, in which now that they have gathered the whole earth, now is for them to really achieve what they really desire, all right, which is the crown jewel. Their crown jewel of their success is that RFID micro chip, all right, which is going to crown everything into their Tower of Babel. You understand what I'm saying here? This is where it is. This is the main reason why they went on that conquest. All right? Because it's the same spirit that the ancestors had, and this is the same thing that the ancestors tried to accomplish. First Maccabees 1 and 41, where Antiochus made a decree that all should leave the laws of their fathers and whatnot, so forth, and, go about the way that he is providing for them. That's roughly paraphrasing, all right? That they should all lead the laws and whatnot, so forth, which was Hellenization, all right? Which was Hellenization, which was colonization. All right? This is where it is. So it says here, thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down. They shall call them the border of wickedness. These Edomites, the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. There is where it is. There is what it is, man. This is what it is. This is the building blocks pursuant to Genesis 11, where Nimrod tried to accomplish, and the Lord, he come and dismantle it. This is them trying to build it. This is them trying to rebuild it. All right? But this time, it ain't going to be a physical, it ain't going to be a literal physical tower. All right? It's going to be digital this time. All right? This time here is going to be digital. All right? But I ain't going to go to all of that. All right? But it just goes to show, okay? It just goes to show. This is the same spirit. When you go to Habakkuk, let me see if I can get some of these other scriptures here. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Let me go straight to the point. Habakkuk 2 and 5, it reads, yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine. All right, he is a proud man. He is a proud man, neither keep it at home. Neither keep it at home. All right? They go all over the world conquering and pillaging and whatnot and colonizing. and colonizing. All right? And is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All people. All right? Now, when you go back to the Malachi, 1 and 4, what they said? All right, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. All right? So they went all through the four corners of the earth, colonizing and what have you, so forth, and building their buildings, all right, building their whole structure, building their, organizing their beast system and what have you, so forth, and enforcing the whole people to follow after their laws and their ways and whatnot, so forth, their policies. You understand? When you go to Micah, all right, Micah 2 and 1, woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds, which goes into the wrong table. All right, this the EU summit, the WEF, all right, the G20, G8, all these things, all right, the Council on Foreign Relations, all these things, the Treaty of Rome, all these things, all right, the Bohemian Grove, yeah. When the morning is light, they practice it, which means when the time is right, they put it into play, all right, because it is in the power of their hand, because the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. All right, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. So as they are in control, they have the power to carry about all their wicked deeds, all their wicked acts. All right, all their wicked policies. And they covet fields and take them by violence. And houses and take them away. All right, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Verse 3, therefore thus saith the Lord, behold, against this family do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall ye go haughtily. All right, for this time is evil, because the Lord is about to bring judgment upon them. All right, the Lord is about to bring judgment upon them. Okay, this is what it is. That's why I will leave with this last scripture here. All right, because I had to go. All right, 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 7. All right, 2nd Ezra 6 and 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. Yeah, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. All right? And I hope you all was edified with this here through the power and spirit of Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai. All right, I had to lock it off because I had to go on the plantation. All right, so with that, Kal Halayam La Alahayanawa Yahweh Baal Shem Yahushai Baal Shem Rakah Kodash. Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai, Barakata Yahweh, Barakata Yahushai. Double honors unto the apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone that rule well. Peace, blessing, salutation unto the brothers who preach and teach the truth throughout the four corners of the earth, risking their lives and their freedom to do so no more than ever. Shalom unto the speckled bird Israelites, and shalom unto the very few but faithful Akwat, your brother Kahan from the GMS Prophetic Vibration. Camp here in Trinidad, signing out, saying shalom, shalom, shalom. Unto this wicked world and Esau Edom, wa abad babal.